¿Tenés como mute a todo el mundo o no?
Ya.
Alan? Okay, got it. So folks, before we start, I want to give you a little bit of a background on this stuff. It helps me if as many as you can put the camera because I get a better feel for the reactions. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. It's just I get a better feel for the reactions. And what you're gonna see today is a little bit of a introductory or high-level view of the most important things that relate to fundraising. Okay, I tend to work with teams that are really high performing. So what you're gonna see here is very close to gold standard, at least my gold standard. Okay. But the good news is that what you're gonna see here is the first of a series of talks that we're gonna start giving every Friday. So I'm gonna start with this one, which is kind of like, if you're gonna remember something, remember this talk, but then we're gonna do one 2 weeks from now, and then another one 4 weeks from now, and another one 6 weeks from now, and so on and so forth, where we're gonna cover everything from co-founder setup to angel investing to pre-seed, seed, your data room, negotiating terms, aka also known as rich people problems, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna do a bunch of coaching, and the whole idea is that we're gonna record all of these, and then somehow we're gonna create a leave behind podcast with high quality production that you can refer back to whenever you do a round and when you're fundraising. And this, we're hoping that this will be kind of like our gift to the community, because we've never really made this stuff available in a summarized manner. Okay, so that's what you're gonna see today. So as I'm gonna give it 1 more minute because we're fucking Latin Americans, and then I'll show the presentation. Okay, fantastic. The way that we're thinking of setting this stuff up is that Alan, watch out for Laura. Okay.
Sí, nada más que me parece, déjame lo estoy agregando, que sí se topó a 100 personas.
Ah, fuck. Dude, let's fix that.
Sí, déjame, lo estoy...
Okay, so we're gonna fuck up anyways. So guys, let's start with a little bit on just learning a little bit about your background. If you can write down.
Everyone, my name is Laura. Got it. My name is Laura. I got into this world as an entrepreneur myself about 10 years ago, when it wasn't developed at all in Latin America. And it has been one of the most fulfilling and stressful experiences of my life. I call it the MBA of my life, or de la calle, como decimos acá en Latinoamérica. And also I've worked in C-levels in different scale-ups and startups. The one that was the most fun of all was Paramo, which is the biggest music festival producer in Colombia. And also I've worked in the dark side of finance as investment banker. And there I did most of all project finance and structured debt, and then a few of M&As. And the reason why I enjoyed the most my time in Paramo was because I structured an SPV to invest in sorry, I have like this big in entertainment projects. And the last about almost 6 years of my life, I've been dedicated them to be a VC in Latin America. I've worked in company building / pure VC models for the last 5 years. And I have boots in the ground in Mexico and in Colombia. But of course, this is a regional play in Latin America.
Fantastic. So as I was going through this talk, I was talking about can do, will do mindset. And I was saying how VCs very much like environments where people grew in environments of success. And they also very much like what like a can do, will do mindset looks like. I have 4 examples here of a great mindset. So the first one is the can do mindset with Carol Dweck. If you haven't read this book, you should definitely read it. It's called Mindset, and it'll unlock a whole lot of blockers in your mind. The problem, it essentially says that you can achieve that there's always opportunity for growth and growth and growth and growth, and you can always learn, and that you can get to a massive potential. The problem here in this book is that that's not enough for founders. You need to think that you can do shit, but you have to actually do it, right? So that's where the will do comes into play. This is more of a can do mindset. Will do is like you have to do it. And for that, grit is quite useful. But the best one I've seen, candidly, is the Kanye West documentary. You should definitely watch it. If you want to see what a hustler that is completely crazy about the crazy achievements that he's gonna secure, and it's always going after it, like a true entrepreneur, look at that documentary. Exceptional. Another one is Self-Made. This was, I think it was like maybe the first millionaire or billionaire, black billionaire in the States. And then I have a talk that I give quite often, or that I've given a bunch of times, that is called How to Be Successful at Rappi. It encapsulates the Rappi mindset. It captures the Rappi mindset really well. And we have a lot of stuff that is quite good. And in Rappi, the best thing that we have is the mindset, essentially. Now, let's jump into how do you fundraise? It's really easy. You just got to build a great business. Like, that's the easiest way to fundraise. And it sounds kind of silly, right? But if you build a great business, you will raise. Full stop. Laura, I'm sure they have some comments on this one.
I definitely have some comments in this one. I think that you should be focused in building a really strong business model and a really strong team that will be able to execute the vision, and then the money will lead. That being said, you do have to be prepared because this is a structured sale process, and it's important that you have everything aligned to be able to talk in like an investor, or at least to understand the language, because there are some nuances that will help you to get through this process more like smoothly and be more successful at it.
Fantastic. Now, single most important thing that I'm going to tell to you today, please do not meet with VCs until you're ready. I'm going to say that again. Do not meet with VCs until you're ready. And I'll give you a little bit of examples why. Let me stop this presentation. Let's say that you are gonna do a presentation, right? That you have not prepared for at all. The first time that you do it, you're most likely gonna suck or not gonna be as good as you could. The second time you're gonna do it, you make it better. Or the third time. It's kind of like dancing. It's a little bit of a dance. And one of the things that is quite usual is that you will see founders that have an idea and they kind of want to test the idea, and they go and meet with a whole bunch of VCs. And no one likes it, 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 no one likes it. And the key problem with this is that it cements a first impression of a founder that sucks, essentially speaking. They won't say that. They won't tell you that. They'll be like, oh, I want to see more traction, or talk to me like when the team's more formed. That's AKA for I don't trust that you will build a great business, right? So another way of saying what I just said around not meeting with VCs until you're ready is something that my brother says all the time. You do not want to practice your pitch with VCs. You absolutely do not want to practice your pitch with VCs in like a real life scenario, okay? Another way of saying this, let's say that you met with 10 VCs and you sucked, but you got a little bit better. And then with the next 10, you didn't suck as much. And then with the last 10, you were kind of like, okay. And in the last one, you had like a pretty good shot, okay? Or you had an okay shot. That could happen, and some founders raise like that. The problem is that the first few funds think that you suck. And they talk to one another. And then they talk to one another, and then they talk to one another, and then they talk to one another. And by the time you get to the first one, everyone knows that you have like, not a great business, or are not a strong founder. And it doesn't matter if you're like the best of the best at fundraising. or at anything, you are infinitely better if you have practiced. So just comparing yourself with yourself, you want to build up a bunch of practice. I'm going to tell a last story. We're doing series C, maybe a Rappi, C or D, I don't remember. And Simon is practicing the pitch. First time he's giving a pitch, right? We're all in this room that looks like a fish tank because it's all like glass. There's like 6 of us, and Sim like gives a pitch, and he finishes the pitch, and we look at each other, and we all look at one another, and we go, "Fuck, we're going bankrupt. Like we're done." Just out of seeing the quality of the pitch, it sucked, but that's fine because it's the first pitch, right? And we were practicing internally. We're not practicing with VCs. We went to raise like a really good round, but again, do not meet with VCs until ready. Laura may have some differing views, but this one it gets interesting because my views are stronger, and strongest reality wins. Okay.
Well,
So
what I think,
happy to
I do think that you should prepare this, and you should begin trying it with your, for instance, angel investors, or even other founders like Andres that have gone through this process before, because you will avoid some rookie mistakes. But also, I do think that there's some venture capitalists, and I really want to highlight some that are super friendly and that understand, and most of all of us that have been like in your shoes, we understand that this is a process, and it is super helpful to also get to know you, how you go through this process, and how you improve in this process is also part of, for instance, the due diligence that I myself like to do, like getting to know you and to see how you go through these challenges and how you evolve and develop the skills and have like the ability to identify what's needs to be improved is super helpful for me. But I do think that you need to prepare in 2 ways. One is internally. Sometimes don't like having the team align and to have them understand that you're doing this extra work because it's like an extra full-time job, and that you have to have like the figures, you have to have them like aligned and clear and ready to send them to the investors is super important. And also that you have all the material ready, and you have it will be a total different process if you get to an institutional investor with all the data room ready and all the materials that you have and like the answers ready. And probably if you've done this before with other people that gone through this process, they're going to make you questions that you haven't thought about. So if you have them ready, you will communicate the right message to the venture capitalist, and you will communicate that you understand your business model and that you have gone through all the possible scenarios and you're ready and you know your field and you're the best team to execute the vision that you're selling and to capture the opportunity of the problem that you're solving. So again, I do think that you need you need to be super prepared, and probably don't talk with investors with VC investors at your first, but don't wait too long also, especially if you get to have some key allies that are more friendly with entrepreneurs.
got it. So that's Lara's point. I think she was more aligned with me than I thought. At the same time, I don't know if you realize some of what she said that is self-serving for her, but not for you. Meaning, it's very interesting to get to know the founder and see how they react and they fix problems. What I say there is you took a gigantic risk, but not being really prepared. Meaning, and there's something that they may not tell you out there because they don't put it in those terms, but when an investor invests in you, it's because they think you're phenomenal. You're the fucking shit that doesn't smell. And every single interaction has been outrageously good. That does not happen when you get to go, hey, Laura, how's it going? I'm Andres. I'm here at the beach. I'm thinking about this business, like a B2B marketplace for beach bums. But what do you think about it? You know, that's like a shitty interaction. She's never going to invest in my business. You need to be, in my view, extremely prepared. in my view. But I tend to be a little bit more scandalous on that regard. And now I'm going to show you how, I'm literally going to show you exactly how it is that we go about preparing. I don't know how we did it with Morado, the kind of stuff that Juan Pablo did at Juno, some of the stuff that Aparicio did with On Top, and an approach that we took at Rappi, which was very, very successful. And I want to show it to you now. It's very basic. We call it, I've struggled to come up with a name, but we call it essentially iterative fundraising. And what you want to do is mitigate risk, right? And ultimately achieve an exceptional raise, right? And what you see here are the different stages of fundraising, right? So if you look at it high level, the way that you'd see it is first you go friends, family, bosses, so on and so forth. Then early angels, top angels. Then first funds or leads. And then you go to the top funds, okay? And all throughout this process, what you want to do is incorporate feedback. So by the time that you meet with funds, you have a really tight pitch. You have a really tight business. You have a really tight team. You have a really good story. But it's not like a story like I came up with a story. Like the story can include changes to the business model, changes to the team, changes to the traction, right? This is not, when we talk about the fundraising story, this is not about you telling a story. It's you hitting all the marks that make you a great investment, you know? So don't think about this like a storytelling. This is a getting shit done really well so that you check the boxes and you are able to express it eloquently, okay? So let's start off with friends, family, and bosses. And I'm gonna give it to you with a little story because people learn from stories. There used to be this guy, no, this lady, sorry, at Rappi. And she went fundraising. And she went and she spoke with Monashis, Kasek, Valor, everyone on there and their friends. And when she went to raise, everyone asked her, so has Sebas, Simon, Felipe, Bilbao invested in you? And she said, no. That's a big fuck up. Because if your boss doesn't invest in you, why should I? You know, it's very negative signaling. So if you're part of Kawak, you want to get Carlos Garcia to invest in you. If you're from Loft, you want to get Florian to invest in you. Because these are people that have a very close relationship with the VCs. And it's kind of like flipped, right? Flipped meaning if you don't have it, it's kind of quite negative because in a good scenario, you will come across as junior. You were so junior in the organization that you didn't have access to these folks. At the worst scenario, you're like irrelevant, but which is way worse. On the flip side, if the founders of these businesses are strong supporters of you, it basically means that some people that know what it takes or have done it see that you have what it takes. So this founder, this lady, like struggled quite a bit in that regard. I'm gonna go to an extreme on this one. I'm gonna give you my extreme. Sometimes I'll find someone from, let me come up with a to make it to this guy's shit. But let's say, give me a unicorn, Bitso, right? So let's say that we have a founder and we're supporting a founder, and the founder worked at Bitso. And I go, dude, you have to get, or do that. You have to get an investment from Daniel Vogel. Daniel Vogel, the founder of Bitso. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know him as well, or like whatever. I'm like, dude, tell him whatever fuck you need to tell, but get the fucking investment. Example. Man, I'm very, very grateful of the time that I spent in Bitso. I know that we didn't interact as much, but I'm gonna give you 0.2% of the business, like whatever, just like gratitude because I learned at Bitso. But you get the fucking investment. The way that I typically tell it, I tell very colorful stories so that people remember it. It's not because it's just because when it hits you a little bit weird, you remember. Okay. So I remember this one time that this guy from Rappi, he had a very bad relationship with Felipe, one of my co-founders. And I literally went to the guy and I said, dude, if it takes doing that, you go and you say, none of this is true, but I told them, you go and you say, I'm sorry that I hit your mom. I'm sorry that I stole your girl. I'm sorry that I ridiculed you in front of 1,000 people. I need you to invest in this business. I can pay for it, right? And I apologize, but I need you to invest. Cool. And you really need that signaling if you're doing top stuff. Okay. Now, obviously, most of us, or most people don't come out of a unicorn when they're racing, but you have some sort of bosses. Okay. So having people that have worked with you vouch for you is quite relevant. Okay, so that's the first one. I don't know if, I'm sure you're gonna have a view on this one now.
I do have a view on this one. I don't think that you have to be like super perfect, and of course that there will be examples like you didn't get along with your previous boss, but definitely what the signalings are in terms or how or under the lenses of a VC, how do we see it, is that we are investing in people. And these people is the most important asset that will be the ones that will transform our investment in that potential 10x or in that potential fund maker. So if you do have the signaling of a previous fund maker, it will be like, again, they will be identifying that not only that they identify the features in you that you can do it, but also you've gone through this process, because it's a really long-term process and it's an ups and down, and it's a resilience process. So again, if you have gone through this, and you probably will have the muscle memory that will help you go through the challenges that this takes. So if you've already done this, and if you have the signaling of people before, it's great. It has like, and there is this non-spoken rule that is what Andres is saying you, that if you've worked before and your boss doesn't invest in you, there will be probably some digging in there. I do think that there are other ways besides than, hey, I'll pay you back. I think that's the worst case scenario that you can do it, because also at the end, everything, it will be known. And
what you just said, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. Right? Just so that you know, she wants it to believe that it's true, but that's not true.
no,
I've
it
done
is
it like
true.
3 or 4 times with massively successful investments. Just so you know, right? Data,
It has happened.
desire,
I mean,
data, desire.
it has
Okay?
happened.
Just so that you realize that. Okay.
No, I totally disagree. It's not that you have to do this, but definitely, for instance, if you have 3 bosses, then get 2 of them to invest in you. And it also happens in VC. I know some ex-VC, like people that has gone into, that has started their own business and their VC didn't invest in them. And that was a super bad signaling. And that was the reason why the company failed. So it's not only, it doesn't only happens in like the
startups.
startup
Yeah.
world.
In VC, it's even worse. I want to give you a little bit of context, because a lot of you are starting businesses. There is an argument for going into a top role or a high growth role at a hyper growth startup, as opposed to doing your smaller business. Like, it's a lot easier to raise, having spent 4 years at the local, the payments company, running product, and then doing a fintech, than I tried to do my 2 or 3 small businesses that kind of went okay or not really, and then I'm gonna go race again. But I want to explain why. It's not because of some mafia of some sort or anything like that. What typically happens is that when a person is part of a very high performing organization, they know what great looks like. They learn what great looks like, and they learn from the success, and they develop the mindset. So let's say it's really easy for me. I'm going to use names that I know. In this role, I need a Saruk. In this one, I need a Fancho. In this one, I need a Maria. In this one, I need a Clara, right? And I basically know, I know what great smells like, looks like, right? That's one of the reasons why this happened. And there's the mindset. So if you feel that you have a shit ton of stuff to learn, and you can get in a super hyper growth company, it doesn't have to be a unicorn or anything like that, but high growth where you can excel like crazy, that's exceptional training ground. I want to give you that aside, because not everyone has to start a business right out of university or whatever, although some people do. Now we're going feedback. Here's how the thing works. This is in pink. I hope that you can see it. This is pitch quality. This is how your pitch quality improves as you move through this setup. So maybe the bosses are especially important when you're at a high-performing startup or at a VC. That's very important signaling, right? But then you go for early angels and then top angels. So let's go with early angels, okay? Early angels are folks who will invest in you, and these are people that basically align with your vision, trust you, and will invest in the business. Now, I kept saying, don't meet with VCs until you're ready. And I didn't clarify, when are you ready? You're ready when pretty good angels are excited to invest in you. That's when you're ready. I'll say it differently. If you can't get angels to invest in your business, how the fuck do you think you're gonna get VCs to invest in your business? That's the way that I think. Now, most people don't, not most, actually, most people don't use that many angels. Angels are a phenomenal resource for fundraising because they will give you excellent feedback. Here's the most common feedback that you get from an angel. Yeah, no, I'm not going to invest. Great feedback. You're not ready. It's very clear. Now, the challenge here is, how do you get to extract the most value, which is, okay, you're not investing. I hear you. Tell me why. And the more candid feedback that you can get, the better that can be the implementation of this feedback. Let me give you the most typical feedback that you will never get from a fund, but it is quite often something that is sort of thought. I'm using aggressive terms just so that you remember them. Most VCs don't think that aggressively, but there's some flavor in this. The most common feedback that you get from angels or VCs, but you don't get it, they think it, but you don't get it, is that your team sucks. I want to say again, your team sucks. What does your team suck mean? That's the negative way of saying it. Let me say the positive. I don't believe that with this team, you'll be able to pull off the plan that you have, right? Or I don't believe that with this team, you'll be able to figure out a business model. So watch out for something, because in VC, sometimes they say, trust the no, not the why, right? Because people want to be polite. But the most common feedback that you will never get is your team, I don't think that you guys can pull it off. And maybe you, I don't think that you can pull it off. So the way that I would ask is, hey, so why are you not investing? Tell me, does the team suck? Like, what are my holes? Like, is the idea like horrible? Like give it to me. One of the nicest things that I do for founders is that I'm brutal, like brutal. The only thing that I've tried with time, and I matured a little bit, so I ask for permission, right? And I go, okay, so how brutal do you want me to be? And then once they give me green light, I just go crazy, okay? But try and do that. So going back to the angels, I would very strongly recommend you approaching as many angels as you can. And once you talk to the angels, try and get them to invest. Don't just get feedback, get them to invest. If they're not investing, there's something off. It may be the team, it may be the business model, it may be, I don't know, the space, it may be a whole bunch of shit, right? But get that feedback, okay? Let me give you the flip side. The flip side is this. I come across a team and they're fucking amazing. They may not be as great at the pitch and stuff, but the business is just fucking enormous. It's not, or going great, or they really understand their stuff. I get really excited by it. And then I introduce the business to a whole bunch of other angels. And potentially, once they're ready, to a bunch of other VCs. Why? Because a great deal is a great source of currency for an investor. In VC, you're as good as your last deal. So if a founder comes and they're great, I will literally introduce them to 25 funds and build a little bit higher reputation with 25 funds. If the team is not great, I will not spend a minute of my brother's time, which I dispose of as if it was nothing, okay, to talk to this founder. So it's very binary, in my view. It's either great and you introduce to a bunch of people, or fuck no. You know what I mean? And most people will say very politely, No, come to me when you've developed the idea a little bit more and have more traction. A big smile. Okay, that's the feedback that you typically get. So try and get the feedback. Laura, I don't know if you have a view on this one.
I do, and I do think that also once the time and when you want to fundraise from venture capitalists, probably it's very important that you make this list and you have like the CRM and you start pitching the ones that you're not most convinced about. Also, while having feedback, try to get feedback not only like from the fundraising, like not sometimes it's not even about, I mean, there are very few venture capitalists that take the time to really understand your business model. So probably there's also a challenge in how you're communicating it. So try to check that part also and understand that if you do it right and with the VCs that you are interested in, they will probably not share it with other VCs because they will be like competing for a piece of your investment, not in that round, but probably in the next round. So most of VCs do have their investment thesis in which stage they are. So you have to align and you have to understand how aligned is your stage and your industry with the VC thesis. If you want to try
great example. Let's say you're a pre-seed and then you've never done a business and then you go and talk to Kazakh. There is not a universe where you will get a check. That will just not happen. They raise 2 billion. They have to deploy a bunch of money. Like it will not just happen. And you look at best ignorant, most likely dumb. Okay? So you really don't want to do a little bit of research and you just take time, and angels will tell that you're learning all the time. You're learning on that. It's perfect that you were completely ignorant, let's say right now, right? But just after this talk, you realize that, fuck, maybe I should talk to a bunch of angels. Fuck, maybe I shouldn't talk to a bunch of VCs just because they're my buddies. Doesn't matter if they're your buddies at all, right? And then, because we're taking a little bit too long in explaining this, let me jump into the presentation. So let's say, okay, how do you get angels excited about your business? Build a great business. So let me give you some specific examples on this one, and then I'll go quickly through the other ones. So if you come from if you don't come from like a premium background, there's still no two ways about it. You have to build a great business with traction, period. Like if you don't come from like a very standardized success startup stuff, you have to build great traction and you have to build a phenomenal team. Please do not, by any circumstance, go with, no, so I need to get money so that I can build a team. If you cannot build a team without money, you cannot build a team, period. That's as simple as that. And if your team is not great, you will not get great investment. If you're doing a tech business and you don't have tech people, you're not going to get investment, right? So this is not about ideas, then I go for money and they get a reality. This is about building a business. And that was the first thing that I said earlier, build a great business. Now, once you have traction and you have a great business, this is the way that we do iterative fundraising. And I'll go through this a little bit more quickly. So
you're not,
you get, go ahead.
No.
You get friends and families, you get angels. Once angels want to invest, they'll open up a whole bunch of introductions to a bunch of funds. Some people will tell you, yeah, we do cold emails and we do cold calls. I call bullshit. Everything comes through our referral, candidly speaking. So you really want to have a bunch of people vouch for you. There's the one occasional people that wrote an email and the business went fantastic. I did invest in Avista. I have like 1% in Avista because Martina and yeah, they essentially they did a great fucking pitch, and I got tired, and on a Sunday I pick up the fucking thing and I did end up investing, but that happened once in maybe 300 emails I've gotten. So don't do that. And then once you're with angels, you'll find, go for the smaller funds. Go for the smaller funds. Smaller funds are easier to close than larger funds. No fund wants to hear that, but that's just true. because you don't want to be the small fund that they call easier, right? That's just true. Because, and let me give you the logic. If you have a hot deal, like a really hot deal, everyone's saying on it. If you're a smaller fund that can help through a bunch of rounds, or if you don't have like the signaling or you have like the pedigree, it's harder for you to get on the deal. That's just a fact, right? So you want to start with the smaller ones because they're easier to close. And the way that I do it typically is I invested in a founder. We do all this shit. We improve the business. We improve the team. We improve everything. But I'm very biased. So I don't really know if it's like a really good bit. Like, I don't know because I'm too biased. So I introduce them to a bunch of angels. Angels are fine, but I still don't know. And then I introduce them to 2-3 small funds. If these funds bite, this business is mega ready. Let's go talk to every fucking person there. If they don't, you're like, hold up. Let's get some feedback. What's up? Let's go back to the drawing board and improve the business. That's literally how I do it. So what I'm telling you, exactly how I do it. I come in, then we bring angels, then we test with some smaller funds. If the smaller funds do great, then we go with everyone. If not, back to the drawing board. What you do not want to do is meet with 50 funds and get this thing that I hate. I completely hate this shit. They call it calendar density, which basically means you fill in your calendar with a bunch of no's, right? A bunch of rejections without any feedback. So I do it in groups of like 5 or 10. And if the first 5 look good, go meet with everyone because you're ready. That's the way that I set it up. Lau, what's your view on that?
My view on that is that, yes, there's a point in which you're viewing probably 2 to 3 companies at a day, and you only have to do also a lot of your VC stuff, which I know you think we don't, but we do. And at the end, you end up prioritizing your time and prioritizing the investments that are going to be your portfolio maker, which will probably come with a warm intro, because again, Andres won't send me something that will make me lose my time, because this is a relationship-based business. So I will gain like good points or plus points if I give him an intro with an interesting founder, and all the other way around. So I won't just take the risk into making him lose his time. And I also know what he likes as an investment, and what he values and what are his red flags. So I know that probably like mostly like in a sales funnel, it will be a more qualified lead. So it will be a better use of my time if I get a warm intro. I do take some cold intros, but I will make my research first. Please don't be that founder that when you contact me in LinkedIn, I really try to answer everything. But if you look at my inbox, it's crazy. And if you look at my WhatsApp, it's even crazier. So when I ask for the deck and you say like, let's jump into a call, send the deck. The deck will be my way of saving your time and my time to understand in the screening if there is a fit in the investment thesis or not, and if it is a potential investment or not. And if you say to me that you don't want to send me your deck, it will be like a rookie mistake from your side. And it will tell me that you have no investment skills, and probably like I am doing it, most of the funds will simply just jump to the next opportunity, especially in the current market conditions. I think we lost
Yeah,
Andres.
I think that we lost Andres.
Okay, so I've been trying to answer some questions here on the chat. Especially where do you find VCs? So where do you find VCs? Mostly go to events, but also following the answer that we were giving, look for warm intros. And now that Andres is back, I was answering where to find VCs. But not sure if you want
the best way of doing it is through angels. Sometimes you can do accelerators and that kind of stuff, but angels will introduce you to a bunch of VCs. Folks, I want to just do two more points, and then we'll go into Q&A. The first one, I'm going to tell you a story. So this shit happens all the time. I talk to a founder, and the founder goes, the business is good, but the pitch needs a lot of work. So there's some reason why they would feel that they're ready, but I know that they're not, right? And I asked them, please do not meet with VCs. And then I talk to them like a week later, and they go, dude, I met with Valor, and I met with Maya, and I met with, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I said, no. I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You just tell them, like what you're supposed to do is tell them that you're head down working and that you'll meet with them in 2 to 3 weeks. There is no better aphrodisiac for a VC than you telling them that you're working and you can't take their call. Like they want you just that much more. And because you take more time to do that, you actually take more time to pitch. So more time to train. So another big issue that typically will happen is that a bunch of VCs start reaching out to you and they'll sell, they genuinely believe it. That's why I love it when Laura says, no, like I like to get to know the founder and I like to get to develop a relationship and see how they work. That's code for, my code for, not their, my code for, I want to see you when you're not fucking ready, so you're not at your best and I'm not going to invest because you're not going to be the shit. You know what I mean? So what you want to do is push those meetings later on. First problem. The second problem that I typically see from founders, and this one mega common. They have a meeting with the analyst, and then the meeting goes like well enough. I'm going to say this, well enough. And the founder feels like they're elated, like she's elated. And she goes, Bilbao, I have a second meeting. And they're like, and I'm like, dude, that's nothing, but you don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, right? But then, no, like I'm going to IC. IC being the investment committee. This is a meeting that VCs have on Mondays when they decide where they're going to invest. And I'm going to give this to you with an analogy so that you never forget this. The investment committee is exactly like Tinder for ugly people. I'm going to say it again. The investment committee is exactly like Tinder for ugly people. If you're an ugly person and you've been to Tinder, you realize, right? Or imagine what your profile must look like is pass, right? And IC typically invests in between 1 and 10 and 1 and 20 deals. So you get to the IC through these 3 meetings or like whatever, and founders feel like they have something and they stop meeting with other funds and so on and so forth. And they do not have shit, right? Because and a VC will always break your heart because it's systematically, because the way that it works is there's an associate or a principal or whatever that is pushing for your deal. This person really wants to do the deal. And then they come to the committee and the committee goes, nah, we're not going, okay? Every signal that you got from this associate or this principal is that they love you, they're really invested in the business. And this person is actually sad that there wasn't an investment, but they, like, you completely believe that it's going to happen, and then it doesn't. And that shit will happen to you, and it will break your heart. And you're going to maybe remember this, but maybe not. So that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, the IC is like Tinder for ugly people. And I guarantee you, in entrepreneurship, you're ugly. Okay? So just because you get the meeting, doesn't mean that you're going to get terms, right? So don't act as if you were. That's the other like key message that I wanted for you to have. And then finally, the last point has to do with negotiation. Let's say that you do really, really well, right? You did all of this stuff. You're a no-brainer. You're literally a no-brainer. Everyone wants to invest in you. And then you start negotiating terms, right? When you're negotiating terms, there is one driver for negotiation and one alone that you have to remember. It's not how much you ask, right? It's not whether there's like this like mystical fit or anything. There's one driver, competition. That's it. It's way better to have 2 shitty terms than 1 okay one. Okay? So you always have to work, if you want to optimize for valuation, for competition. Now, of course, we're going to stop and start taking questions because they're rich people problems, right? I already have terms. So if you already have terms, you like rich people problems. And that's exactly what I try and do with our companies. Here's the way that I set it up. Let's say that I wanted a company to be invested by Sequoia, Kasek, Monashi, any top one, and Reason at the later stages. The way that I would do it is make sure that they got some terms. And when they go and talk to these, they already have terms. Because having terms makes you like the belle of the ball. It's way better than like makeup in the 60s. It's like the best fucking thing that you could possibly do for your company is have terms. Okay. So I strongly, I say in the 60s because it's like, think Mad Men. Yeah. So the best way for you to be the most desirable company is to have terms. They will take you seriously, and they will be, if I would take a guess, like 50% more inclined to giving you terms than if you didn't. Okay. So if you think about it, all this stuff that we did here was iterative fundraising and getting a bunch of feedback so that you can get terms from anyone. And then once you get terms from anyone, you go and say, hey, I already have terms, but I really like how you're doing. Or I really like your business, and we're going to make a decision within the next like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Give the fund enough time to make a decision and to look at your business. That's the way that we run the process. Okay. Make the business as attractive as possible from the business standpoint, from the signaling standpoint, and then raise. That's essentially what we do. We never, ever meet with VCs until we're ready. We systematically improve the business, and we take feedback very seriously. And I'll give you one last one that we used to do at Rappi all the time. Simon is phenomenal at this. We will have this little notebook, this little note that is called, in Spanish, we call it frasecitas. Loosely translate like the dopamine phrases. And what we do with this dopamine phrases is kind of like this. Whenever you're pitching, an entrepreneur is pitching all day. They're pitching their friends, they're pitching their moms, they're pitching everyone all day. And they're talking about the business. And every once in a while, they're changing the way that they say shit. And every once in a while, they'll say a sentence or highlight some area of the business that makes people's eyes light up. That's a dopamine phrase. Whenever you say that, write it down. And then do it again, 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 and then do it again. When you do your pitch should feel like a dance of dopamine. Let me give you an example of one that I'm loving right now. Loving. This business is profitable. That's like, I'm already like excited. It has 500,000 ARR. I'm like, yeah, okay. Annual recurring revenue. But by end of year, it's going to be 3 million. Like, holy fucking shit. I'm loving this business. What does it do? No, is this defensible? Well, is this software-based AI? Holy shit, AI in this scenario? I'm like, I'm there. And they're already working with this no-code tool that is working with 5 of the top 10 pharmaceuticals in the world. Like, holy fucking shit. Because when you're doing health tech, the hardest thing is to sell for pharma. I just gave you a real business. I just gave it a real business. It's called Arcángel. It's a fucking shit. It's fucking amazing. And when I introduce them to funds, I literally say that. Dude, here's this business. It's profitable. 500K ARR, 3 to 3.5 by end of year. No code tool, already selling with 5 of the 10 pharma companies. It's fucking fantastic. I love it. That's the pitch. Now, when the founders come in, they say, like, they have like 50 of those. You know, that's world-class fundraising. It's not this, I have a dream that one day I'll build a business. No. Okay. So that's how we build this. Laura, I'm gonna go with you and then we go into questions.
No, I think let's go into questions right now.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go with women's questions. So the way that I suggest we do this, let's try it out. Raise your hand. We go with women first. Ask the question. And then we get to everyone else. Huh?
Don't be shy. I'm just seeing 2 persons and 2 guys with their.
Yeah, but after the first person does anything,
Okay.
then we'll go to. Okay, I'm blown away by the fact that no women have raised their hand, but fine. Alessandro.
All right, thank you guys for that. I have 2 short questions. The first one is, in the spirit of Web3 and decentralized, I guess, businesses, how can I raise capital or resources without committing the initial equity that is intended to be distributed to users of the platform? And also,
Hold on. Let's start with that one. So I'm not super big on crypto. I have some investment. I've done a bunch of stuff, but I'm assuming that you basically don't want to give out equity, but you wanna, because you want to have tokens for the users in a community-based business. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like ownership tokens.
Got it. Well, look, this is highly specialized, right? Because crypto.
Mhm.
There's a SAFT, which is a specific vehicle for how you raise, and there's multiple ways of raising for crypto. You can do the equity round, and then you can also do the token round. Because I haven't been raising recently, I don't know what's the latest flavor, right? Governance tokens, I know that it went to shit, or that people didn't want to get paid in tokens or NFTs. So that one's a little bit above my current setup. But what I would suggest as an approach is to talk to a few analysts. And here's how I do it. Try and talk to a few analysts from funds that you would never raise from. That are like some dudes in India or some dudes in Africa that do Web3, and ask them about this. And once they tell you, then you do that. It's fine to talk to VCs if they are like in Poland, you know. Don't talk to Valor about this. Yeah, cool.
Yep, cool. And the second, sorry, quick one is, but it's related. If the startup is catered to Latin education, should I fundraise in Latin America or in the US, or I guess foreign too?
You should fundraise wherever they give you money, man. But then if you're gonna get like super picky, it's nice to have an American and a Latin one, because Americans keep the Latin ones honest, and they increase the valuation just because of the competition.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sweet.
let's go to I don't know, Lau, you have something for that?
Thank
Yes.
you.
Also, probably US funds will enable you to raise easier in later rounds. Latam funds do have like a ceiling in terms of going into some valuations and into other stages. Most of them, just 2 or 3, have the size to don't have that ceiling. So it will be strategic to have from the beginning US funds.
Fantastic. Let's go with, man, I hope I pronounce Alini. How do I pronounce your name?
Hi. Thank you so much for this talk. It's been very helpful. So I'm the founder of Zazu. We are a pet platform, and we are based in São Paulo, Brazil. We are profitable and we have runway, but we used to have a multiple year-on-year revenue of 3.5, and now it's like 2.2. And
Is that dollars or reais?
no, I'm talking about how much we multiply revenues year on year.
Okay.
So it's 2 million reais in revenues currently, year based. So my question is, we can survive with our current condition, but it would be great to fundraise. We raised money from angels, $500,000. And we were planning a new round this year, but there are like mixed feelings if we should wait and have like a better scenario or fundraise now. So I would like to have your view on that.
My view, no one knows, because the scenario can deteriorate or it can get a little bit better. But here's something that is quite clear. Look, if you have an awesome business, there's money for you. Like, do not, because the market that's done like bifurcation, right? And then the great businesses are in a way better situation than the ones that, like, if you really need the money and stuff like that, you're essentially fucked, right? Hope, because you were founders and whatever, we may figure it out, but you want to be in this scenario. I wouldn't know about your business. I would, if I were you, I would maybe test it with a couple of small funds, 2 or 3, and see how that goes. And depending on that, decide of whether to retract or go. Same framework, no? Just share your head a little bit, see how it goes, get the very candid feedback and improve on that. And if people are like, sure, we're gonna invest in money, talk to everyone. If they're up for investment, okay? That's what I would do. Lau?
Thank you.
I definitely agree. I wouldn't wait to go and fundraise. If you're a good company, you will fundraise either ways. And again, nobody know what's happening. There is a bit of a less, well, not less volatility, but at least like we know there's gonna be a lot of volatility and we need to deploy the money because that's our business. So again, I think there can't be that much waiting, but there will be cherry picking. So probably that the deals will, the due diligence and the deals will be like less, like yes, like more
Lower.
not necessarily lower, but
Yeah, but
probably
fewer amount, really high bar. Everyone's raising the bar. That's what's happening. So you, as a founder, have to raise the bar too. Essentially, that's why it's smaller deployment. But once you meet the bar, they will put money, but everyone has to raise the bar. Alicia.
Hi, I'm the founder of a profitable wellness tech. I have two questions. First one is, what's a good way to make follow-up calls or follow-up emails to first and second meetings with VCs? That's the first one.
So first off, congratulations for saying profitable business, because I got that much more interested in you just because you said that. Like, candidly speaking, like seriously. If they don't want to do the second meeting, I don't think that you're in a good position. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to push a VC to have a second meeting, like there's nothing there. That's my guess. Lau?
I agree. I mean, probably there is a chance, but if they're not dying for you. If they're dying for you, you will probably hear from them in about 1 week and a half, depending on how their internal like investment committee goes. But it's most likely that if you haven't heard from them in a week and a half, they already had this conversation and it was a pass for the moment.
But something that can happen also, Alicia, is that let's say you have this business and this business is kind of like going, and then for 3 months, you start growing like crazy. And you go, hey, I want to provide a little bit of update casually, no? We're growing at 25% month over month. We achieve positive unit economics. We did so on and so forth. Happy to catch up. You know, that would be the way to reach back, have a better business. Apologies. But that's essentially the way that you want to do it. Sofía García Maestre. ¿Cuánto tiempo?
Bastante.
¿Cómo va la heladería?
Ahí
This
va.
lady used to be a Rappi maker some years back. So, okay, ask your question.
I have a question. Are there any specific funds that you should like prioritize or look for, like for a specific business, like going through
What business? What business are we talking about?
Like the CPGs one, like you should go through a different path of
Hold on, but give me
pitching.
more. Give me more. What are you
Let's
doing?
say like
Business
some,
model.
sorry, Laura, what?
What's your industry? What's your business model? In what stage?
Like very early stage, like CPGs package like some fruits, like frozen fruits with chocolate
Sofía,
topping.
let's make this quick.
Mhm.
Escribime, llamame, por el coso, pedir el coso Isabel y chalamos un ratico, right? Makers get that,
Listo.
okay? Cool.
I know. I just
Let's not
was
waste-
interested on this.
Sí, ya lo miramos como más super mega detail. Jenith, perdón.
Henny, yes.
Jenith, perdón.
Yes. Hi, guys. Thank you so much. So, what is the best way to access in angel investors, and how can entrepreneurs access databases of angel investors?
Great
I don't
point.
know if there is such thing as a database, but probably when you get to one, you will have like word of mouth with the others because there are not that much.
Yeah, I think, look, I wrote a post the other day asking for angels. If you look into my LinkedIn, and there were maybe like 20 or so there, maybe 10 or 15. Sometimes Latitude was doing a wonderful job of helping build the ecosystem of angels, training a bunch of people. They may have some information on that. One of the hard things about this is that angels are very they're hard to find because they're not advertising, and they tend to be pretty crappy at, not pretty crappy, maybe that's not their thing, so they're not building like a brand. You just have to ask around. The way to find an angel is to first find another angel that will introduce you to the second one. That's essentially how you do it. And I think it's a little bit more okay to do cold emails and cold reach outs to angels when the business is really, really good and the pitch is strong. They'll thank you for it. And if not, they'll blow you off. Okay, but occasionally, I'm not saying go do that, and please don't do that. Occasionally, someone will text me on my WhatsApp, and they have like a pretty good business, and I'm like, sure, let's talk. But more often than not, I have like 300 WhatsApps without answering, and I just miss it. But just ask around.
There are two that are super open about being cold contacted, but again, I think that there is this calendar density that plays against you, but I left that LinkedIn in the chat. Actually, I sent it directly to someone, sorry. I'll send it to everyone, which are Ivan Mora and Ali Jamal.
Ivan, yeah.
So they are super open
They're
and
very sophisticated though.
they are.
Like, if Ali, yeah, if either of them invest in your business, you're like mega ready to go raise. So that's kind of like the last angels that I would talk to, not the first ones. Yeah. Let's go with Sebastián Trigo.
Great, thank you, guys.
Andres,
So-
hi, Laura. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. I have a question. What if you want to compete with one company that you used to work for before? Should I pitch to my ex-boss?
Well, it
For
depends.
example, if I used to work at Rappi Colombia for 2 years.
And you're gonna compete
And
with
now I'm-
Rappi? No one's gonna invest in you, buddy.
No.
Like sure as fuck, no one's gonna
I'm
invest
just
in you.
giving an example. I'm
No,
just
but I'm giving you the answer to the
don't worry.
example. If you come to me and you say you're gonna compete with Rappi, there's no fucking way in the universe that I'm gonna invest in your business. Nor is Simon, nor is Sebas, nor is Felipe, and anyone who does is gonna be deemed a fucking traitor and get the Peloton. So depending on where it depends. You gave a very specific example. I gave you a very specific answer. One of the things that you want to
Okay.
watch out for is the fact that founders are a little bit, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, megalomaniac. So if you're a very good performer, this founder did not want to let you go and you betrayed them.
Okay.
On average. Not everyone's like that, but on average, kind of like that. So if you're going to compete with a founder, I don't see it happening. I just don't. Now, if this is a massive corporation and they were having like this experiment and they're not going to do the experiment and you're going to turn that into like a very different scenario. But I gave you a very specific example. You're going to compete with Rappi? At least no fucking way. If, let's say you're going to compete with Truora, I don't think that, I'm speaking for my brother, but I don't think that he would do it, right? Now, you're going to compete with IBM and your manager was like a middle manager at IBM, like, sure, get money from the middle manager. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a more specific question. For example,
Okay.
I used to work for a unicorn in Latam, but this
Mhm.
unicorn doesn't have operations in Bolivia. Like I'm from Bolivia. Bolivia.
Got it.
It's a
So
very
let me give you the
emerging
high-level
market.
one. That may be fine, but the problem is that the only way as of now in VC's mind, and Laura's gonna correct me on this one, that you build a unicorn and all VCs are looking for unicorns is a Latin American business. At a minimum, Spanish-speaking Latam, right? So if
For
you're
me-
just tackling Bolivia, it's like too small.
It is too small. I mean, and if you're aiming for, there are very few founders that have gone with some building second tier markets to build an exit M&A to be acquired by Rappi. I think I can actually just think about just one, and
Yeah,
it's
the
kind of
Venezuela
empty.
buddy, Yummy,
Yes,
which was fantastic. But
That one.
dude,
Yeah.
because here's the thing, if it were something like Rappi, and let's say you're gonna do it in Bolivia, then Rappi is gonna have to make a decision, build or buy. Buy is always super expensive. So let's just build it. So the exit is shitty. And then as an investor, here's the thing. I'm gonna give you very strong feedback without listening to shit about your business. Like, I don't know what's the business, I don't know what's the industry, I don't know. but the feedback is very useful to you because what I'm giving you is the exact bias from a VC. Me as a VC, there's no fucking way I would invest in your business Bolivia focused. If you're saying, I'm going to start with Bolivia and then I'm going to do like every single country, like whatever, you can say like, maybe, but I want to see you do the second country. Because just for Bolivia, there's no fucking way that I would do it. So you may end up building this massive business. I just want to highlight that there's that bias. There's this very strong bias. Now, you could maybe build a business that is not VC backed, and it's more like I don't know, somehow you pull that shit off with way lower costs, and then you end up being acquired. But that, again, is not a VC backed business. And that same thing applies to Peru, Ecuador, even Colombia, unless you're building como Ali or some shit like that. That's like crazy massive business. Okay, let's go with you're like Laura, you agree, right? There's like with
On
the
what?
Bolivia, on the Bolivia piece, way too small.
Yes, I'm not sure if
Can I add something else?
Sure.
Yeah, for example, in the first year, we want to go to Bolivia, Paraguay, Ecuador, and Peru. It's probably small countries, but
Yeah, I'm gonna make you like really mean. Okay, maybe
No,
really mean.
that's
If you're okay with
perfect.
that.
Yeah.
Shit. 5 shits add up to shit as a market. Let me give you some non-shit.
Okay.
Brazil, Mexico, US. You can lump in Colombia with some, but even if you were just saying Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, that's like shit. You know? Same thing goes to my friend Argentinians. Argentinians discount. I love Argentina. I have a shit ton of investments in Argentina. But if you're doing like an Argentine business, you're fucked in terms of VCs. Right?
And like the friendly feedback for that is that you have to think that the ceiling for the valuation of your company would be about 4% of the market share that you're going to get. And if you get 4% of a market in 6 or 7 years, you're super good. So if you go and see the 4% of the market share that you can have for all those markets, it's still a super small business for an investor, for a VC to get a 10x. So each time that if you want to answer this, again, the best way for you and the best use of your time is to build a mid-sized company, get it to profitability, get the 100% of ownership for it, and not aiming to exit it in a high risk, probably low value M&A, because all the markets that you mentioned are second tier markets. So that would be your strategy. And it's a super risky strategy that probably will end you a little bit burnout, and I'm not sure if it's worth the risk, even for you, not only for a VC.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay,
Nicolas,
thank you very much for the
Gomez.
feedback.
Sure.
Thank you for the clarifying questions, Alex. It was quite useful.
Andres, thank you. Laura and Alan, thank you. Bienestar is a platform and community that educate you in the best therapeutic tools and to make you auto-applicate by a chat with AI. So the question is...
Hold on. So that's like a therapist bot?
Yeah. And community.
Like a mental therapy, like psychology bot? Is that it?
Yeah, is
okay,
that.
Cool. Okay.
The question is, you told us it's all about the people on the teams. So as a leader, what I have to optimize to make a dream team?
So there's 2 ways of thinking about it. For me, at least, the first one is you get people who have done it before somehow. So let's say people who have built great AIs, people who have like are thought leaders in therapy, people who have built great tech, that kind of stuff. Well, the other way of proving that you have a great team is you just achieve this stuff. So I'd say right now, I'm feeling mega skeptical on your business. But if you go, hey, we have like 200,000 users, or let's say 30,000 users who are each paying like $200 a month, I'm like, my tone completely changes when there's traction and when there's not. So the way to show a great team is by what they've done before, and that done before can be either their careers or what you've actually achieved with the business. You know what I mean? That's a great team. Lau, but for me, what's a great team for you, Lau?
A great team for me is probably the one that has the complementary knowledge, has back knowledge about the industry it's leading, especially the CEO. You have a super strong CTO, because I do think that we need tech-enabled business to have 10x returns. And also you have a super scrappy operation head that has previous expertise in a similar business model or in the same industry. Now, if you have a B2C or a B2B model, depending on that, I will aim for different CMOs or different marketing and sales people profile.
Okay, fantastic. Let's cover. We're gonna get quickly because we have like 12 more minutes and then go for it. Who's next? I think it was Andres Estrada.
Yes.
Hey, Andres, how are you? So to ask very quickly, my question is, how does a profitable business look like? Like how much money you should be making? I know that US is different than
What's
South
that? What's the
America.
industry? What's the industry that you're on?
Okay, we are B2B. We create explainer demo experiences for sales teams that have this big problem of consultative sales.
So let me give you some high level that I know. For a Series A, you should be doing like 3 million ARR, 3 million annual recurring revenue. That would be
Okay.
for me for Series A, right?
Okay.
Is that A or seed? What Laura has a better answer for this.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
So B2B SaaS product. Is SaaS or not SaaS?
Yeah, it's a process service. Yeah.
It's a SaaS product, and what's the question?
What are some good numbers for pre-seed and seed and A?
In terms of
ARR.
valuation or in what?
ARR.
In ARR?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it depends on the SaaS business, because
Yeah, but
I've
give me a
been seeing,
range.
I mean, it depends. If it's just a small and you don't have like a specialized selling process, anything up from 200K will be okay. If you have a specialized process and you have a big contract value, if you're super early, I've actually just closed an investment in 60K. But again, it is great
That was
opportunity.
ARR or MRR? ARR?
MRR, ARR.
ARR. So man, you need to be selling anywhere from, I don't know, $10,000 a month, but with massive growth, right? But more close to like 50 or something like that to make it like a more serious business to begin with.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Karim?
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Got it.
Hey, and this
And by the way, Andres, you should be able to get all that information online. Like you just ask around with Google and you should be able to get it.
Yeah.
Karim.
Yeah, so this for Andres and Laura. So what's your opinion in both co-founders being technical? Is it harder to raise
Fantastic.
money?
Fantastic. I love it.
Because I have a local VC that tells me that they just invest in
What they told
a
you is that they
non-technical and a
don't like
technical.
you guys. No. What they told you is that they don't like you guys. That's what they told you.
No,
Because
they didn't tell me
I
directly.
know what they told you. I'm translating, my man. I'm translating.
What did they say? Wait. Let's wait a minute. What did they say?
Also, a friend passed from that VC and he told me that the VC only invests when there is a non-technical and a technical co-founder. So
That's
I didn't
absolute
talk to them
bullshit.
directly.
Your friend is lying. Your
Yes.
friend is an ignorant motherfucker. You can tell him that I said that. Okay.
Oh my God.
Because he's giving very responsible feedback. Everything depends. So even when you have like a very massive structured thesis, it all depends. I have a couple of friends, makers, who they're both technical, and they started this business and it's growing pretty strongly. And one of them, they're both very strong technically, and one of them is selling like crazy. So that's really good. In Argentina, there's a shit ton of technical teams that are great. In Colombia, there's a lot less. There's a whole bunch of business people. But I'm a very big fan of pure technical. Huge fan. Lau?
Yes, they definitely don't like you as a team because having a technical founder is the best thing that can happen to you. I think that what I look into is their ability to do what Andres is doing right now. It's practically convincing people to invest in them, because when you have super technical people, they probably need some coaching in their communication skills. So that's the check that I do when I have super technical founders. But me personally, I love them, especially if they're
Fantastic. I wish that we had a ton more. And one of the things that I'm gonna do with makers is we're starting with makers a program, a piece that is focused on exclusively on tech founders. We'll see how that goes.
just a small shadow, because we have an important, well, technical question in the chat, which is, which are the most important metrics for a two-sided marketplace B2B? I really highly recommend for you to measure your share of wallet, your retention per cohort, and your churn is the most important part.
And you need econs, no? And you need
What?
economics. You need economics.
I mean, definitely unit economics, but especially at the beginning, it's super hard to have positive unit economics with the CAC because you're balancing the marketplace. So probably near zero, but of course in the Korean market, it will be a high differentiator if you have positive unit economics. But share of wallet is the most important one. And if you have a positive unit economics, you'll definitely have net dollar retention.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go with Pablo Hanuka. Hakuna.
Hi.
But
Yes.
sorry,
I'm Pablo from Hakuna. Hakuna is a startup that designs and manufactures electric vehicles here in Colombia for Latam. We are looking for
electric vehicles.
Yes.
That's bold, dude. Good for you.
Yes.
I'm scared shitless of that market, but good for you, man.
Thanks.
Right.
The question is, we are working in make real the transition to electromobility. The question is, what recommendations do you have for intensive capital company like Harvard? We base in electric vehicles, so it's Harvard intensive capital. What recommendations do you have?
Dude, I would get like really good at fundraising with very specialized VCs. Like there's some people that like manufacturing, but they're very specific, and you should talk to all of them. You should also want to have like a super top. Go now?
No, that you're not gonna like the answer that I'm gonna give, but probably go and look into corporate venture capitalists. Especially in these kind of industries, they are the ones that can hold and can wait for the return on this, and are the only ones that are willing to have the cost of opportunity of their investment right now.
Did you get that? Do you know what corporate VCs are?
Kinda. Can you explain it?
So let's say that very basically there's two types of funds. The typical VC, Monashi, Sandreessen, Kasek, Lightspeed, DST, that have kind of like a larger, they have like a large thesis, but then there's corporate VCs, and these are the venture capital arms of corporations. So there may be some corporate VCs of manufacturing companies, of automotive companies, of stuff like that, this thesis may align. You have a really fucking hard road ahead of you. Indeed. In regards to racing. But
but someone needs to do it.
Yeah. One of our friends from Rappi is doing something in the space. Jack Sarvari. You may want to reach out to him, see what he's up to. If you're doing the exact same thing as Jack, like, dude, it's gonna be quite hard.
No,
right?
exactly.
But if it's not the exact same thing, try and get him as a mentor. Try and get him as a mentor, try and get him as an angel, and that may work out. And if he says no, get the feedback and improve on that. Okay? Marcus.
Perfect.
So last two, maybe. We can't hear you, Marcus. There's something with your mic.
Or probably just write it in the chat. I will read it out.
No, that's not. Yeah, write it in the chat, man. Well, let's go with Pedro, and then while you write the stuff, and then we'll go back to you, Marcus. Okay.
Andres, Laura, thanks for everything. we're running a buy now pay later marketplace, 900,000 ARR, launched 7 months ago, and we're 2 months away from cash flow positive. And the question is, should we raise now and continue the growth that we're heading on, or should we wait to be cash flow positive?
How much runway do you have?
Default alive, enough runway to go cash flow positive, to continue to be cash flow positive.
But that's
Now,
2 months.
what's your no, they have infinite runway, allegedly. What's your
Yes, we're basically burning. We have enough money, but
hold on. How much money do you have in the bank and how much are you burning?
$200,000. We're burning $40,000, and we expect to hit 120 ARR in the next 60 days.
2 things there. Early,
monthly recurring revenue, sorry, 120 MRR.
120 MRR.
Yes, correct.
That's
how much-
revenue, actual revenue.
Revenue.
Not
We're
GMV.
doing 1.5 GMV.
Like that.
1.5 GMV.
Where do you
April, we're
operate?
doing in a shitty market, Venezuela.
That's a kind of difficult,
Yeah.
I mean, different. You have to see that with a different lens right now, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of upside opportunity in there because things are being built up. But it is kind of risky business still, and kind of VCs are going like super careful with investment in Venezuela, but we're looking at them.
How much would you raise, Pedro? You're on mute. You went on mute, man.
Yeah. We're looking to raise 5 million on our next round. We already
5
raised 1
million?
million.
You already
Yes.
that
We already
sounds
raised 1.
no, dude. But so hear me out.
Yeah.
So, and this is okay. So you're doing like a play that would be only Venezuela, right?
No.
No, because it's
No.
buy now, pay later. It could go everywhere. It could be kind of global.
So here's the thing. So hard one. But
Yeah, go ahead.
no. It's hard because remember how I talked about the dopamine phrases? You have a
Yeah.
shit ton.
Yes.
And then you said Venezuela. And I'm just
I know. I wanted to do the disclaimer. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it's like horrible. So you're kind of like a movie where they kill the character at the end. You know what I mean? I'm exaggerating. But the thing is, here's my read. I think you're gonna be successful. Somehow. I think that your ask is way too fucking high. Like going to ask for 5 million is like way too fucking high. And what I would suggest in doing is asking for like 2 million or something like that with a great story. And when they ask you about valuation, say, I'm gonna let the market decide the valuation. I'm gonna say that again. Instead of asking for a shit ton of money, maybe not 2, maybe 3, but ask for a lower number, then say, let the market set the valuation. And maybe they offer you 2 million at 6. Don't get offended. 2 million at 6 is terms. Nothing sucks. 2 million at 6 is fantastic. And then you take this stuff and you go and do the actual rounds, and then you start jacking up the valuation. Your business and your results and the way that you manage it is worth investing time. You're definitely worth a look. And I feel that you're gonna be successful. Just it's a tough one because of the Venezuela shit, man. Very hard. But I feel that you'll do well.
My co-founder worked with you guys for 7 years.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And my other light recommendation is this may seem stupid, but for me, cash flow positive sounds way better than we're gonna be cash flow positive in 2 months. And we're operating in this other company, in this other country, sounds way better for me than just Venezuela. So if you're going to Venezuela and we're like all over Venezuela and we have this other country and we're cash flow positive, you're like better. But somewhat better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
And sorry for but the other thing that I would say, because it's really important for me, we do not understand Venezuela, like from the outside. Like the shit that Yumi has done is fantastic. I had this guess that we fucked up maybe by not going into Venezuela, because you can literally build a monopoly of everything. So
Exactly.
there is an argument for you raising 500K more, $1 million more, and building this massive monopoly and just going like mega deep in a whole bunch of fintech services in Venezuela. I don't know. That's why, just because you come across as quite thoughtful and you have some really good, you figure some shit out. I don't feel you're the typical, come give me 5 million. Sounds hard, man. But come give me 2 and we'll see how it goes. Maybe. And let's every time that you do an ask, you want to avoid sticker shock. Sticker shock is when you go into a designer outlet and you look at this shit and it costs $1,000 and you're like, what the fuck? Sticker shock. The sticker shocked you. You want to avoid that. That's why I suggest lower ask, my gut reaction, and then through competition, you will get some of the stuff. Cool?
Okay.
But
And
sounds
cash
like
flow
good business.
before future cash flow positive. So let's do cash flow
Is that whenever
positive
anyone
first and then
says,
raise.
whenever
Yeah.
anyone says in 2 months this is gonna happen, I'm like, dude, in 2 months that shit's not gonna happen. Like I
Okay,
always
totally.
call bullshit. Lau?
Thank you.
No, I mean, I totally agree. I would love to see like at least an MVP in other country. I think you do have some competitive advantage, and there is kind of some signaling that everything is to be built up in Venezuela, and that's the opportunity. But again, that's kind of the theory. But in reality, when you get Venezuela into an investment committee, it's kind of way too risky. We already have a lot of risks. So let's have a cost of opportunity to aim.
So let me give you another one, Pedro. Like, you know how I do builds, right? Like investments from zero. From this, you're a very easy investment for me if you were starting from zero in another country. You'd be like a really easy investment for me. Like this dude that has achieved this shit is starting from zero in Mexico in business X. I don't give a fuck what business it would be. For me, it'd be a really easy bet in one of my builds. So you have the shit. Just the Venezuela stuff is like really hard. And of course, you're going to build a massive business. And remember that time when Bilbao said that I was going to be able to achieve shit? Fine. Like tell the story. I think I think you'll come up with some great shit. I have a sense of that. Okay, let's do last one with Marcus. And I don't know if Laura wants to stay because I need to go.
I also need to go, but
Okay.
Marcus already sent the question. Is he need direction in finding debt for 2 huge signed contracts in the buy now, pay later product? So venture debt is a totally different world right now. It is more achievable and it's kind of getting like a lot of attention because of the current market. I'm not sure if I will have to know more to answer this question. Andres, do you have like any
No,
straightforward?
I'm like horrible with that. Like I have no idea how to deal with that. And maybe Alan, can we get some people that are experts in that for next time, and we like provide because I don't know shit about that, but I should be able to tell you who can give you some answers on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get that question.
There are some funds, some small debt funds in here, but there also is, I just can't remember her name right now, but it's, I'll send it to Alan and he will send it to you, Marcus, but
Okay, so guys, we gotta close this off and you gotta close somewhere, but Mariano, hacemos otra, tal vez en 8 días en español. Maybe in 15 days, another one, and we'll get you first. Same thing with Germán and so on and so forth. Okay, folks? Because we gotta cut it at somewhere. Okay? Disculpame, Rica. Pero entonces para la próxima, va. Okay?
bye.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the time. I hope that this was useful and at least a little bit entertaining, because this can be really fucking boring. Okay? So
It
hopefully.
was very entertaining. Thank you.
Cool. Have a great one, guys.
Gracias, Andrés.